Welcome back to another episode. I am Sticks. This is my best friend and co-host D-Lo, and we are Too Complex. We're back with another set of good topics for y'all today, but before we get into the content, I need you to do three things for me, and y'all looked out for us last week, so I appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all. But of course, we need you to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We hit that 400 mark that we talked about last week. Our new goal is 450. So I need you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button to get us to that goal. And also, of course, as always, hit that notification bell so you miss none of these bangers.
Yes, sir.
That we bring to you every single week. But D-Lo, man, we back again with another episode, bro. How was your week, my dog?
Week is always good, man. Can't really complain about the weeks and how they run. Always thankful to see another day. Always thankful to spend some time with my family. I just wish we would, or I'm ready to get out of this phase where the kids get sick with everything. So Sage just started school. My daughter just started school not too long ago. She's missed a couple of days because of events that happened last week that I discussed about my grandmother. But for the most part, she's been in school. She's already sick, and the household is already coming down with a cold because of stuff that she's bringing from school. I know it just comes with parenting, but I'm ready to get out of this phase of life and just, not worry about being sick, can sleep when we want to and do stuff like that. But,
I'm telling you,
love my kids, but I'm ready to get out of this phase. What about you? How was your week and all that?
It's always like that when you got the younger kids, man. And like I said, I'm looking forward to possibly having another one soon. I'm gonna be in that phase with you, very, you know what I'm saying. But
wait a minute,
it's just
soon.
Having the younger ones. You know what I'm saying?
Don't breeze by that. Don't be trying to nah. Don't try to breeze by that. Don't try to breeze by that.
Like you just say what you just said. Like,
don't try to breeze by that, bro. You said soon.
All I'm saying is there's conversation.
You said
all I'm saying is there's conversation in the air.
Okay.
And there's conversation in the air.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that at a later date. You feel me?
Okay.
But
all right.
It just comes with having younger kids, man, because their immune system ain't like that. But anyway.
I'm trying to figure out how that's gonna work out. But okay.
Conversation for a later day. Anyway.
Yeah. I told you that we could have changed the podcast to that. A topic for another day.
Topic for another day, for sure. But too complex is a staple now. We gotta
it's a staple. We good. Probably should have put that out. Somebody gonna come out with it now.
I promise. People be stealing all our stuff. I swear. Anyway, but a title is hard to come by. So if you take it, make sure you give us credit.
Yeah, but 100%.
100%.
We were there.
We were there. But now my week has been cool, man. A little change of pace though. With the whole career thing, man. So I don't know if I told you, but because it was definitely before this week. But so I told you I had got the job, but then the one that I had been interviewing with for the past 2 months that had been giving me the runaround, called me back and ended up giving me the job.
Oh, no, you didn't. Congratulations, my boy.
I kind of put it up. So the salary is double what I would have been making at the job I took.
Yeah.
Plus higher commission. So it's more of a money. It's definitely more of a career thing for me because I didn't want the other job. I just kind of took it because you know what I'm saying? But they called me back and they called me back Monday, interviewed on Wednesday, got the job on Thursday. So
that's what's up, man. Congratulations. You was holding that bullet, huh? You was holding that bullet for the podcast. That's crazy. Because you normally would. I mean, I guess we and not to cut you off, my bad, but I guess we've been like not talking as often as we once were before on a weekly basis to figure out how we're going to run the podcast and everything. So that's usually when we have our small talk of what's going on.
Small talk,
yeah. So, but you usually will let me know what's going on with that. But that's what's up. Yeah, I'm happy that worked out because we did talk about, you not really wanting to do the other one, and then, something may happen down the line with the one that you really wanted. But God works in mysterious ways.
Man, man.
Shout out for that.
Appreciate it. Of course, I got Sam with me. Sam is here this weekend, so it's the first time in I think about 3 weeks since I had Sam, because before she went to school, she had to get her routine going. She had a couple of things going on with family, volleyball, stuff like that. So I ain't seen her in about 3 weeks, but now she here this weekend, so I'm happy for that. So everything is going well, man. Everything is going well. Life is good. You know what I mean? So we straight this week.
That's what's up. Man, let's talk about real quick
What's good with
the
you?
USA basketball really ain't much without the NBA, the stars of the league, right?
The stars of the league.
It, you know, for a while there, we felt like we could put when the NBA players decided to be a part of the world championships and the Olympics and all that, it was almost like we could put anybody out there and we would win the gold medal or the title, the championship. But
Mm-hmm.
after the dream team and as the world has began to catch up with the United States in sports, it hasn't been so great. We've had to have our de facto stars in order to come out on top. If
And
you
that's a
don't know,
fact.
if you don't know, recently the last 2 weeks, the United States has lost two games, one to Lithuania and then
Mm-hmm.
one to Germany to knock them out of the World Championship tournament or it's
World
World game
championships, yeah.
World
The World
Championship game.
Games. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, it's looking like Noah Lyles was right. Maybe the NBA shouldn't call
I was
themselves
about to ask you that too.
world champs. I mean, it's a joke. Because I definitely understand why NBA and NFL and all that calls themselves world champions, but maybe they shouldn't because if
But
they
I
can't
was going to ask you that
compete
question though. Hold
without,
on, because yeah, well, yeah. I see you just answered my question low key. But I was going to ask you how you feel about that statement, world champions for like NBA and NFL. Well, more so NBA because not too
mm,
many overseas people come and play in the NFL. I don't know of too many, but you know of a bunch that come and play in the NBA.
I mean,
So
basically the top 10 outside of a handful, maybe two or three, maybe are international stars in the
yeah,
NBA.
you got
So
Jokic, you got Jokic, you
Giannis,
got Giannis, you got Embiid is not even from here. You got I
Luca,
mean Luca, you got plenty of them. So it's like
yeah,
and I was having this argument because I can kind of understand why Noah Lyles said it because
yeah,
it's not you don't whenever you compete in the NBA, you're not competing with the world. Like
right,
you're not taking the Bucks or the Lakers and going to playing against Lithuania or Germany, right?
right.
But one of my other gaming homies was like, but you got to think people from around the world come and play in the NBA because it's the greatest league in the world, right?
And people from around the world watch the NBA. Like
Watch
you
the
have
NBA,
watch
yeah.
parties in China for, I mean, and it's because of the people that are tied to their culture, to their countries that play in the NBA. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, you have watch parties in China or in Russia, or I'm saying all of the countries that we're. I'm saying all the countries we got tension with right now, but you have you have those type of
Ukraine and
countries.
shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm saying you have those type of countries that have watch parties for big games that include
Mm-hmm.
natives from their countries that's playing in it. So, yeah, it may not be that those individual teams are playing world teams, but you do have
Mm-hmm.
the best players from all over the globe playing in the NBA, and that's what makes them. That gives them the ability to say that they're world champions. I'm
That's a fact.
assuming. I mean, I
That's a
get it.
fact.
I get why
I
they're
get
saying
it.
world
Yeah.
champs,
I get
but
why they're saying world champs, but I also get why Noah Lyles said what he said too, because it's like, bro, like y'all not competing against the world, like you
right,
know what I'm saying.
right,
So
right.
it's
Semantically makes
both
sense.
sides. It's both sides of the coin for sure. Both sides of
Yeah,
the coin.
yeah. And
But
another
man,
thing I was reading. Go ahead. My fault. Go ahead.
no. What was you about to say? You good. You good.
And another thing I was reading this week, preparing for our podcast today, is apparently our brains are shrinking as we evolve as humans, and as we are getting as smart as we are, our brains are shrinking. Have you heard that?
I haven't, but I can see why people say that because
W-
every time we talk about like the human race and how things are evolving as far as technology and things, I always go to AI because I can always say I can see why they say that because with the advancement of technology, people are getting dumber, if that makes
Mhm,
sense. You know what I'm saying? So because people don't have to put in as much effort to do things are at the snap of a finger or a delivery to your door.
mhm.
You got Chat GPT that can write out a whole dissertation for you if you really, really wanted to, if you put the right things in there.
Yep.
So it's like people don't have to exert as much energy to be intelligent anymore because AI is intelligent for them. So I can see
Yep.
why they say that. 100%.
And that was the gist of the That was the gist of the argument of the article. Although not exactly in those words. The reason that they're saying our brains are getting smaller is for the simple fact that we have what they call cooperative organization, which has taken place over the last, or started, it started some 3,000 years ago and has continually developed as technology has developed. And what cooperative organization is basically saying that, with the internet, with us being such social beings now, we're talking amongst each other. I don't have to be the smartest person in the world to know a lot about certain things. I can know a little bit about something, put it out on the internet. You can know a little bit about something, put it on the internet, or we talk amongst ourselves, and now we have a shared understanding of certain situations. So if I'm going through something, I might not know exactly how to handle it. I can come to you and say, "All right, man, this is what I'm going through." Oh, and you'll be like, "Oh, well, with my experience, this is what happened," and we can get the job done. So basically what they're saying is, no one person is smarter than a collection of individuals, which makes our brains shrink because we don't have to know all of that information, which I thought was interesting because when I read the article, I was like, what in the world? This don't make any sense. But then when I read it, I was like, oh, it makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
So that was just, some stuff that I was reading this week. What's your thoughts on that though? Because you was right on it. You hit it right on the head, which I was kind of shocked that you hit it right on the head without even reading the article. Not saying not saying anything bad about you. But,
yeah. But it makes sense because we have because with the internet, like you said, you have places like Wikipedia where everybody can go in as a collective and modify information, and you can edit information, and like you said, even with YouTube, if you don't know, you can go look it up and see.
YouTube
and find
University.
You see what I'm saying? And we are part of that university in some capacity. You feel me?
Some capacity, yeah.
You might be, cum laude at least. You feel me? But I mean, it's just so easy to access information, and that's a lot of people have that argument about people who are quote unquote not successful. You have a phone in your hand. You have so much information at the palm of at your fingertips, in the palm of your hand, that you can just go on and find out how to do things and how to be successful. And like you said, if you don't know, you can ask. And if this person don't know, the collective of people can come together and get the job done with the information with the bits and pieces of information that everybody has. So it makes all the sense in the world that our brains are shrinking because we don't have to learn as much as we used to because we just research it. We can just look it up. A couple of clicks of your fingers, you can figure it out. So
and then
it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, another part of it was, we don't have to worry about our survival as much as our ancestors did because we don't live in caves, or we don't live out in the wilderness amongst things that can harm us or cause severe harm to us. We're in more of a safe space now. So that was a major part of the reason as well to our brains being a shrink, because we don't have to house all that information of how to survive.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can see that. The world is definitely a lot more inhabitable now than it was 3,000 years ago, as you mentioned.
100%.
So, man, it is crazy to think about, man, because the next generation, man, I want to see how they grow. You know what I'm saying? And I mentioned in the introduction, like my future kids, whatever. If they how I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to teach them things about the world and moving forward, how I'm going to raise them, because it's going to be so hard to give them the same values that we have as millennials, but at the same time, try to allow them the freedom to research and do what they need to do on their own. But it's tough out here, bro. Yeah. It's tough out here, bro, because it's
a challenge. 100%.
It's a challenge for sure. And I mean, you got a 2-year-old now, and I see how you interact with nephew and things like that, and the way that you and sis do y'all thing with him, and it's like I need to kind of learn from that. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a 16-year-old, man, and she is just as smart as can be, and she does things on her own, and she has that knowledge. But the little baby kids coming up now, it's gonna be tough, bro.
Yeah, it's definitely a different challenge than what it was 14. 13 years ago. Technology in that small time frame has advanced. We have advanced, and there's a lot of different things that kids can be exposed to that they weren't necessarily exposed to back then. So it's definitely a challenge. But I mean, you'll be all right. You did great with her. You'll do great with the next ones that you have as well.
For sure, for sure. One thing I wanted to talk about before we get to the main topics, man. I think I told you about this earlier this morning. It's like, bro, why do we as a people tend to do things to embarrass ourselves, bro? And I'm talking about the whole Suki Hana thing at the VMAs, bro. Like, why do we? Why? I'm a backtrack because I don't want to put it on our people as a whole, but
Right.
there's a time and place for everything. So why are you getting invited to your first award show ever, and a little bit of benefit of the doubt can be given because the Video Music Awards, they knew who she was before they even invited her to the party. But to be on the red carpet throwing ass on national television, well, it ain't on national television to begin with. Not that part of it, but it's like, bro, like there's a time and place for everything. You ain't got to be ratchet all the time. You don't, but it's come on, bro. It makes me ick. Like it's like, ugh, like it's to me, it's just so gross, bro. But
yeah,
it is what it is, man. She did it, and it was just like, ugh, like why are you doing that? It's just like makes you frown upon like I don't know.
The more we talk about different situations, the more we try to ingrain ourselves in what younger people are doing and all of that jazz, the more I feel old.
I swear, bro. Like, don't it make you feel ancient?
Yeah, it does. It does. But I don't know who. I mean, until you showed me the video, I didn't know who this person was. I think I heard her name once, but it was one other time. But she was involved with something at an award show again with an individual, with a male. I forgot what it was.
Show. It was the 3v3 basketball thing at
Young Osiris.
Something like that. One of these youngins, these rappers went up and like was doing some inappropriate things to her in public.
Yeah.
But see, and that's another thing too. Like, is the way you carry yourself brings the attention that you garner.
But you are correct, but you can't say that.
I can't say you can't say that. You can't say that.
You're gonna get the backlash from saying that you shouldn't be controlling what women do and this and that.
I'll be in the comments.
Yeah. But I mean, you have a point there, though.
Yeah.
And I think because she didn't really make a big deal out of that situation.
No,
either.
She did.
She did. Okay.
She didn't make a big deal out of that.
Correct.
But it's funny. It's funny that she made a big deal out of that, and she felt some type of way about. And don't get me wrong, he shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have done it.
No, he shouldn't have done it at all.
Shouldn't have went up and tried to touch this young lady or kiss this young lady. He shouldn't have done it.
We're not condoning that. We're not condoning
that at all. But at the same time, if you can go from the week before having an interview about the things you want done to you in the bedroom, and it's very, very explicit, but then come and act like you a different way the next like 2-3 days later, it don't fit. Yeah. It don't fit to me. So like the way that you carry yourself is going to bring the attention that you garner. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I said, then D-Lo said we can't say that. We can't say that because we're gonna get that backlash. But I think a lot of people
twice now. So
I think a lot true, but I think a lot of people that watch us, a lot of our audience will agree with that statement. And that goes for men and women. Like if I'm out here, acting that same way, then I can't be surprised whenever, it is what it is, bro.
Right. Yeah, and we're not trying to control women's bodies or what they do with it in any way. Just that's not what we want. And that's not how we would envision the women that we are involved with acting out in public. But that's neither here nor there. About this situation, I feel like, some people don't really thoroughly think through the actions that they do while they're out in public, especially when they're entertainers or quasi-entertainers. And like we've mentioned many times before, they always have to be on. And sometimes this is when they feel more comfortable being in front of people than not being in front of people. And so, that usually that's just what the culture has been. I won't say that. Let me take that back. That's what the popular thing to do has been for so long across all cultures, is to turn around, show your ass, and twerk. Now, there's always a time and a place for it, but now all of the time and places to do whatever in certain situations are starting to blend now. So there is no, it's always the right time to do it. If you're talking about entertainment and bringing attention to yourselves, because that's all we yearn for nowadays, is attention amongst ourselves. Everything is content over everything. Everything is, let's bring attention to this so I can benefit from it in some form or fashion down the line, and whether that's negative or positive. A lot of people try to steer away from the negative, but if it's a negative speckle here and there in the sea of good that you've done, good um good attention that you brought to yourself down the line, then that it comes with the territory. So
Yeah,
I
especially that's your brand and your character. Then
yeah,
you have to be on. You have to be on at all times. If that's how
yeah,
you promoted yourself and that's the brand that you built for yourself, then you have
yeah,
to be that person, especially if you're an entertainer. So that's
right,
her
yeah,
brand and
so
that's what she do. So it's what
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, to get off the BS, man. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the content, bruh. So
Hmm.
Aaron Rodgers, man. Aaron Rodgers. We just had a topic. We just had a conversation about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets last week when we were talking about the NFL season gearing up and
Yep.
the expectations that we had for the seasons. And we talked about the Jets. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
I was, I felt like they was going to have a good season, especially with the defense that they had, and you
We
had
both were.
you had high expectations for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets too, man. But 4 plays into the game on Monday night, he completely tears his Achilles.
Hmm.
D'Lo, man, what you feel about the Jets now without Aaron Rodgers, bro?
I know Jet fans are hurt.
Hurt
They're
more, even
sick
probably
right
even more
now.
hurt than Aaron.
Yeah, they are sick right now. And to be real with you, this is why I'm not a betting man, especially when it comes to sports, because
Mm-hmm.
like you mentioned earlier last week. I don't know. I can't remember what you said about the Jets, but I predicted that they would go to the Super Bowl. And you have a team like this with the season they had last year, to bring in the quarterback to match that defense that they had or
Mm-hmm.
have, along with some of the weapons that they also brought in on offense,
Mm-hmm.
and all the anticipation that they built up with the Hard Knocks series, all
Yep.
of the media speculation with them, not speculation, but all of the media frenzy that they've had being in New York. The hype machines build up, and you get on the bandwagon like, yeah, this team could go to the Super Bowl with the defense, with the quarterback that they have, because Aaron Rodgers has been to the Super Bowl before. He's been a MVP of the league. It's unfortunate. It's just
It is.
unfortunate, man. And it always seems like it always happens this way. You never get to get the suspense of the season, to go through that get that climactic point of, oh, this is the make or break point of their season. The make or break point of their season, to me, in my opinion, happened 4 plays in, and it broke their season when Aaron Rodgers went down with an Achilles tear. So I definitely feel like they will not be making the Super Bowl. I honestly, unless Zach Wilson,
Zach
unless
Wilson,
Zach
yeah.
Wilson, I said Luke Wilson last week, and unless
and I agree.
Zach
And I
Wilson,
agree with you.
unless Zach Wilson plays like Aaron Rodgers s this year,
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a hard time making the playoffs in reality, unless the Super Bowl. I mean, unless the defense shuts everybody out. What you think about
I,
it?
I can agree. I can agree with that, man. I can. Aaron Rodgers was going to be the catalyst for this offense, and Zach Wilson was there last year and he couldn't get it done, or he
Mhm.
didn't get it done. I ain't gonna say he ain't gonna get it done this year because he did come out and say after the game, and it ended up pulling the game off. It went to overtime, 65-yard punt return for a touchdown to walk off the game, and the Jets ended up winning the game. And Zach Wilson didn't play terribly. but he didn't play Aaron Rodgers-esque at all.
Yeah.
So, but he did come out and say in an interview afterwards, like, ever since he's been in camp, I've been trying to watch and do and mimic and, do and shadowing him and doing everything that he does and this, that, and the third. So hopefully he picked up on some of those characteristics that Aaron Rodgers has as far as a quarterback. I think I said they would make the playoffs. I don't think I said they would go to the Super Bowl, but
right. I think you did. I think you're right. I think that's exactly what you said.
Yeah. I don't think they'll go to the Super Bowl, but I think they were going to the playoffs. Now without Aaron, like you said, unless Zach Wilson can turn it on and become at least he's gonna have to be more than just a little bit of Aaron Rodgers. If he can become half of what Aaron Rodgers was, or he can do what Aaron Rodgers does a little bit, because he has a strong arm. He's not typically mobile, and neither Aaron Rodgers ain't either in his older age now.
Wait. Who's not mobile?
Zach. He's not typically mobile.
Yes, he is.
I mean, he can get out, but he ain't. I ain't gonna compare him to. I ain't even gonna compare him to Patrick Mahomes as far as his mobility. I can't even compare him to Dak Prescott as far as his mobility.
Nah, you tripping.
Well, maybe that's why I ain't watched a lot of Zach.
That's why he was drafted so high, is because of the way he played at BYU. He was athletic.
True. No, you know what?
He had a strong arm, or strong for college. It didn't prove to be that way last year, but that's exactly why he was drafted as high as he was. Came out of nowhere because of his athleticism. So I mean, and if you, and not to cut you off, let's get back real quick.
Yeah.
But the statement you made about him saying that he watched everything Aaron Rodgers did while they were in training camp, and since he's been there, if you watch the Hard Knock docuseries this year that followed the Jets, they seem to have a good relationship. And the knock on Aaron Rodgers when he was with the Packers was he didn't have a good relationship with his backup quarterbacks. And I mean, they're still in competition. He still wants to be the top dog. He doesn't want to just hand over the keys to everybody that they bring in, the Packers bring in, or that's behind him. So, I mean, I expect that they have a cordial relationship, but they don't have to be buddy. But typically, the media, the fans want the backup and the starting quarterback to get along. But if you watch Hard Knocks, they seem to have a great relationship. You see this is not going to sound right, but you see the softer side of Aaron Rodgers when he was sharing moments with Zach Wilson while he was playing in the preseason, and he like, you did a great job, this and that. Things you wouldn't typically, or you don't historically hear Aaron Rodgers or hear about Aaron Rodgers and his relationship with backup quarterback. So if he learned anything, it probably goes both ways. Aaron Rodgers took the time to show him what he should be doing on certain things, and Zach Wilson was studious enough to want to learn from Aaron Rodgers, which is a good person to learn from.
100%. I mean, and just to kind of piggyback off of what you said, for the past, I would probably say 5 or 6 years, Aaron Rodgers has been looked at as like a diva, so to speak. As far as the way he carried himself when he was with the Packers, and to D-Lo's point, the way he treated his backup quarterback, especially Jordan Love. Whenever they drafted him, he was not with it. So they had no. I don't remember them having any relationship at all. Like, I don't even think they spoke to each other unless they was in the quarterback room at practice when they were watching film. Maybe on that professional level, but it seems like him and Zach Wilson had a little bit better of a relationship going back to the Hard Knocks, and Zach Wilson actually showing him love and, giving him the praise that he deserved, because he is one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. So he deserves that praise. But, it's to move it forward a little bit, just for the article that I read, Aaron Rodgers is, I think this was a little bit of a humbling experience for Aaron Rodgers. Because if you go look at social media, they were saying that the Aaron Rodgers highlights from the season is just him carrying out that flag before the game started. The internet is undefeated, bro. Internet's undefeated,
bro.
Undefeated,
unforgiving
dog.
Sometimes
100% unforgiving. But this is showing, like you said, it's showing a softer. He's been showing a softer side in the preseason and in the docuseries. But from reading the article, it's like, he's taking on all the hate and all the doubt, and him being a 39-year-old quarterback, can he come back from Achilles tendon? He's like, yo, bring it on. Bring on all the hate. Tell me what timelines you have. Tell me what doubts you have. Tell me what hate you have for me. And I promise you, I'm gonna prove y'all wrong. So it's showing a little bit of I think this was a humbling experience for him, but it's also like a strong moment for him to come back and be like, hey, I'm still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, regardless of this Achilles tear or not. Yeah, I'm out for the season, but come 24, 25, I'm gonna go crazy. So
yeah,
as much hype and as much money, number one, as they put into Aaron Rodgers, and then number two, as much hype that came behind him going to the Jets, like we mentioned last week, with them having that defense that they have, and with the weapons they have on offense, with Garrett Wilson and the people that they brought in, it's just like, damn, this is how that had to happen. 4 plays in, bro. 4 plays in. I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm like, hold on. Aaron ain't getting up. Aaron hurt. And they had to cart him off. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Me and D-Lo just talked about this, bro. Like, they going to the Super Bowl, and he get hurt the first possession, first drive. Nah, bro, that's crazy to me. That is crazy.
It's why I'm not a betting man. I mean, and obviously Vegas and all the betting channels feel the same way, because before the season started, they were 18-1 or plus 1,800 bet to make it to the Super Bowl. After he got injured, it plummeted all the way down to 6 plus 6,000. So I wasn't really familiar with what those odds mean. I don't know if you are, but basically what that means is if you make a $10 bet that the Jets will make it to the Super Bowl, you would get you could win $190. Now, if you bet that same bet $10, you'll make $610. So that's how far they plummeted. And as far as his injury, though, if this was 15 to 20 years ago, I would say, yeah, his career is over. At 39, quarterback, is the amount of pain and the amount of punishment that he takes, pause. He won't be able to. He won't be able to come back on that. He won't be able to come back and play based off of that. But the medical industry and technology advances in how they rehabilitate and structure injuries like this, the Achilles, the ACL, such things like that. Players are coming back from those type of injuries and not missing the beat, or if not playing better, playing, very close to how they were playing before. KD last year or 2 years ago tore his Achilles. Can't really tell that he missed a beat. I mean, he's bounced from team to team to, keep his supporting cast strong around him, but he's still been the best player on his team and the killer that he is on the court. So had this been 2 years ago, I would be concerned and say, yes, over for A-Rod, but he has every right to feel how he's been feeling or how he says he's feeling about the injury and how he'll come back even stronger than he was before.
100%. One of the other greatest of all time, going to another sport, but Kobe, whenever he had his Achilles situation, he still came back, and he's the Black Mamba, so he's gonna ball out, but he really wasn't the same. But now, it's become like D-Lo said, with the technology and with the medical advancements, you can have a major injury that a decade ago would have ended your career, but now those same injuries you can come back the next year and be just as strong, maybe even stronger sometimes. So we'll see how A-Rod, takes this and how he comes back in the next season. He said he's going to come back, better and stronger, and we believe A-Rod. He's an icon in the game, so we believe him. But I'm excited to see how everything goes with him next season for sure.
Yep.
All
right, so another week, another coach making it personal for Coach Prime and CU.
Man,
Sticks, what are your thoughts on Jay Norville and his comments about his mom teaching him how to talk to grown-ups and taking off his hat and his sunglasses, and it being directed towards Coach Prime?
So first of all, obviously Coach Norville don't know who Coach Prime is. First of all, Coach Prime is going to be Coach Prime. Coach Prime got that moxie about him. He got that attitude about him. He got that charisma about him to where he going to be him regardless of who he talking to and where he at, number one.
Yep.
And of course, he got respect for different venues or where he going to be at. Of course, he has that. But at the same time, when it comes to this football, Deion is prime time. Deion Sanders is now prime time. So you ain't going to make him, just because, it's another coach in front of him. He ain't never been like that. Even when he was at Jackson State, he won't like that. When he was going to the press releases and media days and stuff like that, he always did what he did as he was and talked the way he talked. He gonna be respectful. He gonna have his own slang. He gonna have his own moxie. But bro, like at this point, and I think you said this to me a couple of days ago when we were talking about topics, it's becoming like they're trying to make a name for themselves off of Deion. You see what I'm saying? Because it's like you obviously don't know who Deion is. You can't. You're old enough to know that Deion was a killer on the football field and the baseball field and on that diamond, and you know who he is coming up from Jackson State to now Colorado. Why would you ever think he was going to be anything different when he was in the same room as you? Makes no sense to me. The hate is becoming comedy at this point because all Deion does is take it personal, take it on that football field. Well, take it. First of all, he takes it on that practice field and in his meeting rooms with his players, and he makes it personal for his players. And then they come out on that field and they prove everybody wrong. So I don't understand why people try to come at Coach Prime. It's getting comedic at this point. What you think, D-Lo?
So it's a famous quote that I'm sure a lot of people know by now. It says, "Winners focus on winning, losers focus on the winners." And that's what it seems like the last 3 weeks. You know, I won't say TCU because it's nothing that I know for sure that Coach Patterson, who's the coach name? What's the coach of TCU? Whatever the coach at TCU is, it's nothing that he said externally about Coach Prime in Colorado that they used as motivation and took personal, but it was something that Shador and Deion knew about how Kendall Brow, the offensive coordinator at TCU, how he treated Shador while they was at FSU's football camp when he was the offensive coordinator there. But then the last 2 weeks where Matt Rule and now Jay Norville have said something about either Coach Prime specifically or how he runs the program or how he addresses the media while he's talking to them. Like, who cares about that? Like we're talking about football. We're not talking about taking personal attacks on a coach and how he conducts business when he's talking to the media. Obviously, the media doesn't have any concerns about how he addresses them with a hat and shades on. You know, they've been there. College Game Day's been there. Is there this week. Fox Sports was there last week for the Nebraska game, and they're there this week for the Colorado State game. Colorado State, who hasn't been relevant in football for quite some time. We're talking about Colorado State and Colorado now. So I understand it's a rivalry game, and you try to use whatever you can to get under the other team's skin to distract them from what they're supposed to be doing, which is devising a game plan to beat you, and focus more so on what you have said about them in
the external things,
press. Yeah. But you know, there's also a flip side of that too. You know, you become bulletin board material. I was always taught, and I'm sure you were taught the same thing when you were playing. Don't be bulletin board material, because those are small things that get teams riled up. And you don't want, when you're talking about top-notch athletes, you don't want to put a chip or add a chip on the team's shoulder, because when you talk about superior athletes, they try to find any type of motivation to get them up. And when you provide that for them, then you're just causing a lot of trouble for yourself. And I fully expect that when Coach Prime said it's personal, we're going to see how personal it is today. 100%. Because he basically said that Deion Sanders' mom, which if you know anything about Deion Sanders, he loves his mom. He always contributes everything to God, and then next in line is his mom. When you mention her, you're really on the wrong side with him.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. And he definitely he's always been taking everything personal. Anytime somebody talk junk to him on the field, he's gonna take it personal. He's gonna try to show out. He does the same thing in coaching. I don't know if you saw that clip, but I saw it on Instagram where old boy made the comment about the glasses. He bought the whole team them same shades.
Yep, and he's coming out with those shades as his own line. I think in the near future, you can pre-order those shades now, which I may get me some, even though I don't wear shades.
But yeah, it's a thing where it's like you at this point, like you said, you become a bulletin board material. You put a target on your back for this man who already has a chip on his shoulder, who's already trying to prove everybody wrong, who's already getting all the hate from different avenues, whether it's from the Black community, from the coaches, from from different players, and it's just you're putting a target on your back for a man that has a chip on his shoulder, and that's what you don't want to do for somebody like Prime, And it's it's just it's becoming laughable, bro. It's becoming laughable, and I have a. If anybody watching this episode right now has been following me and D-Lo and Too Complex, we've talked about Prime ad nausea at this point because it's an intriguing story. But y'all know that we have a lot of stock in Coach Prime because we know the type of player that he was, so we can kind of see the coach he's going to be and the type of leader of men that he's going to be. And for and you're coming at somebody talking about how his program is ran and it's like a club and you got this person coming this week and this rapper and you got media crews following you and it's all about publicity. No, Coach Prime wants to win. And the publicity is there because the person that he is, but also the noise that he's making in the college arena, period.
Yep.
And the way he runs his program has nothing to do with your program. So you do what you do at Nebraska, you do what you do at TCU, you do what you do at Colorado State, or whoever the hell else is going to come at Coach Prime. But just know Coach Prime going to take it seriously, and he's going to come at you. He's going to be at your neck, and he's going to have all of his players at your neck too. So just be ready for the repercussions whenever they come, because it's just it's funny. It's just funny at this point.
And to add to that real quick about him being good in football and baseball, and so you can imagine what type of coach he's going to be. It doesn't always work out that way. So good players don't always turn out to be good coaches.
Very true.
We've seen it happen many times. But as you mentioned, you knew what type of player he was. But then when you listen to him talk and how he can motivate you, it only blends well that he's going to gain the respect of the people that he's leading, of the kids that he's leading, of the players that he's leading, because they knew who he was as a player. And now to hear him talk is like, oh, he knows what he's talking about. And I can get motivated from him speaking to me every day. And he's bringing other coaches around him that know their stuff. Eventually, like we said last week, we didn't think they would be this good, this fast. We knew in a matter of time that it was going to click and the team was going to gel. But for him to do what he's doing now, and I know we've talked about the same thing twice, just in a different fashion, 2 weeks in a row. But to see it this fast and to come to fruition this fast, even if they don't win another game this year, they've already doubled the amount of wins that they had last year. And TCU and Colorado is like you mentioned, it is basically a must-see TV. You have celebrities on the sideline or attendance in games, as you saw with their first home game last week. You had various artists and entertainers at the game. Sold out crowd. It's expected to be sold out today or tonight as well. The culture is completely changed in Colorado. The Prime effect is in full effect. He did it at Jackson State. He's doing it at Colorado. Coaches don't like this because now they have to adjust. It's something new that they have to adjust to, because he's going to beat you in recruiting, because you mentioned that you wouldn't have mind playing for him when you were playing football. I share that same sentiment. I'll also add that if Dalen is good enough to play football and have Coach Prime recruit him, I would want him to play for him. And I've had multiple players that I've played with and seen multiple players online say the same thing. So you can only imagine that parents with kids that can play football in the future, and that's going to be a while from now. You can only imagine how players now and their parents feel about Coach Prime, because you're just wrapped up in the frenzy and the Prime effect or the effect that is Coach Prime. So
that's just how it's gonna go, man. We gonna see, man. I'm gonna be right in front of the TV tonight whenever that game is on, and I'm gonna be watching what I feel like is going to be Colorado beating up on Colorado State. That's what I feel like is going to happen. I'm going to predict this game is going to be like 35-7. Something like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to beat them up. It's going to be, and I think Colorado State is already underdogs. But like you said, they're just trying to make some kind of noise to take Colorado away from the goal, which is putting the game plan together. And they want to, all they did was become billboard material, as you said. So, we're gonna see what happens tonight, man. We'll probably talk about it next week. Now,
maybe
for sure.
Depending on what Oregon says this next coming week.
Tell me about it.
They won't be dumb enough to say anything though. I don't think.
I doubt it. I doubt it too. I doubt it. But anyway, moving on to the next topic, man. So we did a couple of segments in the past on Undisputed and Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp and the tension that was growing on that show over the past year and a half. And we also did a segment on Shannon Sharp leaving Undisputed. So we thought he was leaving Undisputed. But here recently, Stephen A. Smith went on the Joe Budden podcast and he said that what we think was Shannon Sharp leaving, it was actually him being pushed out from Undisputed. So, D-Lo, how do you feel about this comment that he said? Now, he didn't say it was. He said it was fact on the podcast, but all we can do is speculate because no actual story has come out. But how do you feel about what Stephen A. said?
So, I mean, like you said, he said it was fact. Stephen A. is a staple in the sports and entertainment industry when it comes to his show, First Take, when it comes to his personality, when it comes to talking sports in general. So you can only take what he says. You can assume that what he said is fact. He now works with Shannon on a daily basis, or he's on the show twice a day.
I think Monday and Tuesday mornings. Yep.
Right. Yeah. So he's on the show twice a week. And so you can only, and they went to, we just talked about Deion in Colorado. They went to the Colorado game last week for the home opener. So they were one of the couple of the celebrities that I was mentioning that was at the game. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they've shared multiple stories and, he knows the intricacies of what happened with Shannon and Skip. But I would rather have heard this come from Shannon or Skip when it comes to this matter, because it just, you never want to hear something come secondhand, because now sure. it's always two sides to the story, right? It's the side of the person, it's the side of the other person, and it's three sides actually. Then it's the truth. So somewhere in between there, I'm sure not Skip. I sound like Shannon calling Stephen A. Skip. I'm sure that Shannon and Stephen A. are on one side. We probably will hear either on Undisputed or on his own podcast. We'll probably hear Skip Bayless's side of it, unless it's some type of contract negating them from saying anything about it altogether. And then if that does happen, then I'm sure we'll hear Shannon's side of it. I would have rather heard this come from Shannon, though. And like I've said before multiple times, he's a better person than me, because had I been pushed out, I don't know how contracts work in the sports and entertainment industry when it comes to the media outlets, but they would have had to just let me go and pay me while my time was off until I found my other job. I know that's how it is with regular 9 to 5. You get fired, then you get unemployment. I don't know how it is with the contracts. If you leave on your own, you don't get paid, or you still get the rest of your. I don't know how that works. But they would have to let me go. And I also would have let everybody know that they pushed me out rather than saying I'm leaving on my own. So he's a better person than me.
Yeah, because I was definitely under the impression from the way that things materialized with Undisputed and Shannon Sharp that he was leaving because of course, things that were happening on set. The relationship between him and Skip were becoming a little bit, tumultuous. If I even said that word right.
We'll look it up later. We'll just say it is right now.
For sure. Siri got it. But that's why we're talking about it. It's small talk. Our brain's getting so small. I can just look it up. But it just seemed like Shannon was just ready to go because he just couldn't take it no more. But if he was actually pushed out, like you said, now that Stephen A. has put it out there to the world that he was pushed out, I feel like now Shannon has to come out and say something. And who knows if they do have something in their contract to where they can't say anything. But if it feels like now, since Shannon has said, he was pushed out, you can take that as fact. That is fact. That is fact. You might not hear from him. Yeah, but that's fact. Yeah. You can believe that. That's fact. You know how you talk. But so now Shannon gonna have
I saw him. I actually saw him when you were doing that, though. That's funny.
That's fact. But now Shannon gonna have to come out and say something to where it's like, what Stephen A. is he gonna have to come out to some extent and say it's some truth to it, because they and I can see it on the side of this too, D-Lo. where it's like they couldn't come. The tension was mounting so heavy, and they couldn't come to an agreement on how they were going to. Because of course that's Skip show, Undisputed is Skip show. He is the captain of that ship in so many different ways. Now, with Shannon Sharp being on that show for so long, it was kind of a misunderstanding of who was actually the leader of that show, because his personality was taken over in such a high regard. But what I feel like, and this is just speculation on my side, is that he was pushed out in a sense of he was trying to make the management of Undisputed know, the producers know, like, hey, sometimes he be saying some stuff that be ruffling my feathers, and I need y'all to figure out a way to handle Skip. And if y'all can't, then I got to go. Because it ain't going to be too many times that I'm going to take my glasses off and have to hold myself back from punching him in his face, because he done said something that I don't agree with, and he done disrespected me and then called me basically a bum in so many different words. So it's like, y'all got to figure out how to handle Skip and the things that he be saying, because he be wilding. And that's what that's what I think he said to the producers. And they was like, well, it's Skip's show. And he was like, well, I got to go then. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing.
Yeah, I think it's that, but also the fact that Shannon was becoming, when you think of Undisputed, when Shannon was there, you think more of Shannon than Skip, because of all of the viral moments that Shannon had rather than Skip. I mean, Skip has always been Skip. He's always said some outlandish stuff about whatever player he's hating on this week, whether it be LeBron, whether it be Westbrook, whether it be I don't even know whoever else he wants to disregard, or whether he's talking on the same lines with Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, where he's praising them to the Cowboys to the highest regards. But Shannon has become, like, we all call him Unc, you know what I mean? Because of what he's done on Undisputed. So I think he was probably pushed out because Skip saw his light dimming with him on the show. And so he had to be like, all right, listen, we might have to get rid of him because he's becoming too big. Let him go do his own thing, because he also has Club Shay Shay, which has 1 million followers or 1 million subscribers on YouTube. So does Skip. Skip has his own podcast on YouTube, which only has 134,000 subscribers. So you can see, like, his light as the mainstay in sports debate is starting to dim, and he's not faring with that well. And I think you said he told his wife if she's gonna be mad that he's getting up to go talk about sports rather than doing something with him, well, then she can just stay where he is, or they can get a divorce or something like that.
He basically said if he had to choose between his career as a sportscaster and his marriage, he's choosing his career as a sportscaster. 100.
So there you have it.
Every day, all day. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you have it. He's going to be like a coach that coached all the way up until his death. That's going to be Skip. He's going to try to be a sportscaster. Yeah, he's going to try to be a sportscaster as long as he can, and then he's going to die. And because of that, though, he has helped a lot of people become who they are. Stephen A's one,
for sure.
Shannon Sharp is one. Now they have teamed together, and they're going against Skip, and he's trying to bring in a whole batch of new sportscasters and personalities. We're gonna see. I think, but for the long haul, for that portion, I think the reason that Shannon was pushed out is because Skip saw his light dimming as the mainstay or the main person of Undisputed, and it was time to let go of Shannon amongst all the other disputes and spats that they had on the show as well.
For sure, man. And it's kind of sad, man, because for a smooth 6 years, man, that was one of the best morning sports talk shows out for a smooth 6 years. I listened to it on the morning driving to work because I couldn't get up early enough to actually watch it. So I just listened to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, just listening to it. Like, I want to hear what kind of debate they had today about whatever the topics were. And it was a really good show. And you saw the effects that it took on Undisputed whenever whenever he actually left, that they had to take a month and a half off because Skip couldn't carry that show by himself. He couldn't carry that show by himself. He low key needed Shannon Sharp or a personality like him, which there is no personality like Shannon Sharp unless we talk about Coach Prime. But you need a personality like him to keep that thing going now, because Shannon did such a good job on that show. Like, I literally watched that show for Shannon Sharp. I watched it for Unc. I didn't watch it for Skip, but because I knew Skip was gonna say something stupid and it was gonna be like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And especially when you talk about the Cowboys. Like, I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm like, oh my God, you are ODing right now. Like, stop glazing, my dog. Like, chill out. But it's funny like I said, it's funny the effect that had when he left. And now he's trying to bring on a team of people with the Keyshawn Johnsons of the world and, players like that kind of have a similar personality, but not necessarily so it's like it's gonna be funny to see how well First Take does now with just the Mondays and Tuesdays, and how well Undisputed goes in the future with the team of people that they bringing around Skip now, in opposed to just having that one-on-one debate. So it's gonna be funny. It's gonna be fun to see, man. It's gonna be fun to see.
Yep. So I want to sing right now, but I'm gonna hold myself back from doing it, because Buy You to Drink was a banger back in the day. Banger back in the day.
It's still a banger now, low key. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, no, it is 100%, and we're dating ourselves, but it don't matter because it was a banger back in the day. But anyway, T-Pain earlier this week made waves, caused up a stir on social media when he said he basically makes no money from Buy You a Drink because of all the different percentages that he has to pay artists and writers of different songs that came out that he was quote unquote paying homage to in the song Buy You a Drink. Six, what's your thought on this situation and T-Pain statements that he made?
Man, it's crazy how, like you said, he was paying homage, bro. And the snap your fingers, the do you still. John came for that, you know what I'm saying? Money in the bank, shorty, what you drank. Little Scrappy came for that. Like, everybody who had something to do with a line that he took from another person's song, and which is understandable though. You gotta think about it. Whenever people are, just let me put it in perspective.
Go ahead. Say what you say.
I understand the sticking of the head. Trust me, I do. But whenever you think about, whenever producers are trying to do samples of songs, you have to get the permission from that person to use that sample. You have to pay that person in most instances for that sample, and then probably some kind of royalties as that song hits, right? Mm-hmm. And with Buy You a Drink, which I don't even want to, I'm going to say it anyway because it's just going to be funny. I want to see your reaction. With Buy You a Drink that came out in 2007, where like we say we dating ourselves. That came out in 2007, where at that time, I don't know about you, but I was still buying CDs. So it was a different time then. It was a different time then.
We were singing that song as a wide receiver group while we were stretching before practice the night after or the day after playing the game. That's how much we were singing. We would do a bunch of crazy stuff. But yeah, we were singing that song.
It was a classic. It was a classic. Yeah. And it's like that's back whenever CD sales were still big and you can still go go platinum or diamond off the CD sales. Now, where it's more streaming based because of how times, technology and times have changed, he's still having to pay this publishing and this copyright to these different people. And like I said, it's understandable because if you're taking somebody's actual lyrics, we're not even talking about a sample of a song, like musically, like producing the song. We're talking about actual lyrics. And although he felt like he was paying homage, like, let me back up a little bit because I feel like, because he did say in the video,
it feels like.
He did say in the video that as the song blew up, when it started to blow, is whenever everybody started to come like, all right, yo, I need some of that money that's in that bank. Because you said this, you said this, you said this. And it's like, damn, dog. So he was like, he said in the video, it's our money in the bank now. It's like,
yeah.
But you kind of look at it from both sides of the coin. As T-Pain was paying homage, those people were like, well, damn, you took our whole lyric. So if you're gonna blow up off of our music, then we gonna need some of that bread, dog. So it's messed up, but it's understandable in the same sense. What you think, D-Lo?
I don't agree with that whatsoever. I can understand I can understand what you're saying and how those individuals felt at the time, but and I also understand paying percentages of a song when you either sample the music from a song or like you are doing a cover or whatever of a song. But we're talking about lyrics. We're talking about not even really a bar of a song that he took or that he used in the song to pay homage. If that's the case, the music industry would be in shambles right now because everybody's borrowing bits and pieces of everybody's song. So you would have to pay. Everybody would be paying everybody, and nobody would really be making any substantial money. I mean, they don't really make any substantial money now because of streaming. In order to make the money that we think they make, they have to go on tours, which is why everybody has a tour, why everybody has a festival now. So, but when we're talking about you taking one or two lines of somebody's song, how many artists or rappers for sure do we know that you can go back and say, wait a minute, that came from this song? Wait a minute, he took this person's line. I mean, how often do you hear Jay-Z? People say Jay-Z took all the Biggie's
lines.
Took this and that, you know what I'm saying? Or, J. Cole said this, or you know what I mean? So the industry would be in shambles if this was widespread. And maybe it is, we just don't know it. It's just now starting to come out. But I don't recall, the only time I recall somebody having to pay percentages of their sales or percentages, or it's called points, I think. Points of a song is if somebody actually produced on that song, if you took a sample from somewhere else and used it or whatnot. But as far as like taking one or two lyrics, I don't recall that. And to me, there's nothing new under the sun. So if that's the case, we should be paying.
Nobody fucking with sun.
You feel what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So if that's the case, we will forever be paying our ancestors because everything that we do, everything that we say is a derivative of what they did back in the past. So I mean, I don't agree with this.
And to your point though, so you brought up J. Cole. Does J. Cole have to pay 3 6 Mafia for "Don't Save Her"? She don't want to be saved. Don't save her. You see what I'm saying? Right. So
but that up.
Okay, because it's honestly, this is honestly the first time that I've actually heard other artists coming at another artist for a percentage of a song that's blowing up for a couple of lyrics that he put in here or there. This is honest to God truth. This is the first time I've heard of this. So because like you said, if you think about it, Jay-Z should be giving, well, God rest his soul, but Jay-Z should be giving Biggie a lot of money. J. Cole should be giving 3 6 for that line that he took. Everybody does it. Honestly, everybody takes something from somebody else, and that's quote unquote paying homage. But like, I don't know, maybe it's funny because I feel like T-Pain ain't respected as much as he should be because of auto-tune. And I think a lot of motherfuckers kind of little, like they kind of little bro T-Pain sometime, and it's kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of weird that they little bro T-Pain like they do. But I don't know, man. It's not. Damn. Now that you think it, and for sure, then my knee, and but it's funny because now that you brought it to that perspective, because whenever I was researching, I was like, I can kind of understand it, but I wasn't thinking in the sense of shit. Everybody do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like literally, everybody takes lines. So now that you brought it to that perspective, it is kind of stupid. Like, let that man pay homage, because if he's saying this in his song, they're going to go back and listen to your song if they hear, that's what T-Pain got that from this song rock type. You know what I'm saying? You're going to make money anyway because he bringing attention to your joint. Yeah.
Let alone, as you mentioned, they came after the song blew up. Not when they first heard it, whatever. They came after. So to me, that's saying, because I mean, Scrappy was 2007. Scrappy was doing his thing. 2003 to 2006 was when Lil Jon
was going crazy. Yeah,
before that, like the 98 to 2006 or so, Lil Jon was going crazy with all kind of club songs, and just like
Walk It Out. Old boy
Yeah,
had that one song for what I know. He didn't really, I don't think
right.
he had anything else after that. So
They
he
won't.
came for it. He came for T-Pain too. But go ahead, I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off.
No, you good. I mean, you basically saying what I was going to say. Like,
Mm-hmm.
their careers were fading, or they were one hit wonders, and so they were trying to hang on to whatever they had. I mean, Lil Jon was a producer, so he was,
Yeah.
and still does producing a little bit. So he's always going to have his say so in the music industry, or you're going to say, oh, that's a Lil Jon beat, or oh yeah, Lil Jon did that, whatever the case may be. But for Lil Scrappy and DJ Ong, I mean, Lil Scrappy had his time, but it fizzled pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And he does have hits that you could play today and immediately pinpoint, oh yeah, that's Lil Scrappy. But
Yeah.
like you said, I feel like the music industry doesn't give T-Pain enough respect, because T-Pain, it didn't really dawn on me till the person that made our beat that we had on previously, Bush, was like, man, T-Pain, that guy. And I really started listening to T-Pain. I was
Nah,
like,
for
oh,
sure.
T-Pain really got songs on top of songs. His beats are crazy. He produces most of his beats. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just crazy. So he really doesn't get the respect. And for this to come out the way it has, we know he went broke or filed for bankruptcy or something like that. I don't want to, say something that's really not true, but I know he was having a
Mm-hmm.
hard time with money at quite some time, a
Mm-hmm.
little while. For
Yeah.
all this to come out, and it's like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't agree with how it went down.
But now, and like you said, man, T Pain was that guy from 2000. I would say 2007 to about 2010.
Now, it was like
He was
2004 when he came out with "I'm Sprung."
true. So yeah, so
Yeah.
about 2004. I would say about for about 5 or 6 years, he was that guy, and he
Yeah.
had what I'm looking at it right now. He had 12 Grammy nominations and won two for Good Life with Kanye and
Mhm.
Blame It with Jamie Foxx. And
Mhm.
15 of his songs reached top 10 on the Billboard 100 hits. So he was that guy, dog. And now, of course, he just doing his thing on streaming. He's a very, very popular Twitch streamer, gaming. Got Nappy Boy Entertainment now.
His intro for that stream, I know I sent it to y'all like 2-3 years ago. His intro, he changes it up, but the one that I
Mhm.
like, who that thing go?
That
Yeah,
thing.
it's me. I can't remember the whole thing, but
He be
that
going
joint be going.
crazy. He be going crazy. And I watch his streams a couple of times, and I follow him on Twitch a little bit. I do a little bit of streaming myself. So I'm on Twitch every once in a while, like maybe once a day or so, just to kind of see who's streaming. And when I see him, I'm watching him like, but bruh, T-Pain is hilarious in his own right. And
Yep.
he's an entertainer. He's literally an entertainer. And he just don't get the respect that he deserves from the entertainment industry. Like he you can say what you want about autotune, but everybody's used it before.
Yep.
He just made it popular because he had that natural singing voice and he just put it over the top.
He can sing. He can sing.
Zapp and Roger back in the day, they used their own form of autotune. So it was well
Yep.
before T-Pain popularized it that people were using it, even back in the 80s and the 70s, 80s. So like let's give T-Pain this. We're gonna give T-Pain his flowers right now. If T-Pain,
Yep.
if you see this, bro, you was an icon in the game, G. And you did your thing,
Icon.
and you an
Rapper
icon in the
turned
game, bro.
singer. Nappy
Rapper
Boy
turned
Entertainment.
singer, Nappy Boy Entertainment,
Tallahassee.
Nappy Boy ENT. You feel me? You feel me?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and you that dude, man. If you ever see it, you that guy. Yes, sir. But
It's
moving
on
on
me.
from
It's on
one
you.
icon, no, it's on me. Moving on from one icon to the next, which is actually a super duper global icon who just won the Global Icon Award at the VMAs. Diddy put on a show at the VMAs and was awarded the Global Icon Award. And I think it was well deserved, man. Diddy has been that dude since the late 90s, and he's still doing it to this day. Well, shoot, early 90s. 1993 is when he came out. It's been 30 years. So,
Yeah.
D-Lo, how you feel about Diddy hitting this milestone in his life, in his career, winning this Global Icon Award at the VMAs, bro?
I agree with you. I think it's well deserved for his music and mogul career. Like you said, he founded Bad Boy in the early 90s. And he's been a staple of the hip hop culture, or in some form of fashion, whether that's music, whether that's entertainment, whether that's clothing, whether that's the spirits or liquor that we drink. He's been a part of hip hop in some form or fashion since then. We mentioned previously in one of our episodes that Drake, when we're talking about Drake and his impact on the melodic rap that there was, you said Ja Rule was the pioneer before Drake. Well, the pioneer before Ja Rule probably was Diddy, because he influenced Biggie to rap over the Osley Brothers Between the Sheets sample. We talked about samples
Yeah.
earlier. He also paid homage and tribute to Biggie when he unfortunately passed away and died in the early 2000s or late 90s with
Late
the
90s.
rapping over the beats. I'll be I'll be
I'll be
missing
missing
you
you.
beat. Yeah, and it's every breath you take was the sample that he took. So Diddy might is the pioneer before Ja Rule, who birthed quote unquote Drake. All right. He also embraced the chance to become a rapper or a singer on his record label with his MTV show contest, Making the Band. And then I already mentioned the plethora of business deals that he's made, as well as with the clothing line and the Ciroc brand, which is currently in a dispute with their parent company. I'm gonna mess this name up. I think it's Diageo, whatever. It's the parent company of Ciroc and DeLeon, which are the liquor brands that he is the face of. So, with all that being said, well deserved to be known or to be considered the global icon that he is for everything that he's done in the past 30 years.
For sure, man. For sure. And it's just funny to see, and just to kind of piggyback off of what you said about him embracing the opportunity to be a rapper on his own brand. That's kind of that's kind of a la NWA, right? Where you had Eazy-E being kind of like the face of NWA, but Dr. Dre was like, "Nah, you got to rap," and Ice Cube was like, "Nah, you got to rap," and he didn't have an idea how to rap, but he started that, but Diddy did it better because he didn't know how to rap either, but he kind of piggybacked off of Biggie and the guys that he had, and the Locks and the guys that he had in his circle, and they kind of coached him through it, and he was rapping on his own songs too, along with Mace and those guys, and Money
They
Money
helped
More
write some of
Problems.
his stuff too.
Of course they did, yeah. Just like
Yeah.
Ice Cube was writing Eazy-E stuff, they helped write some of his stuff too. So it was like he took that and he garnered it, and he had his own personality with it. From a guy who came from had a dream of playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and to get hurt his senior year of high school and not be able to do that and still keep his moxie and his composure about himself and create one of the biggest entertainment and music brands ever, for real. And had some of the biggest artists with him, between Biggie and Faith and the Locks and Mace, and now he got his son rapping with him, and he had so many different. He's done so many different things.
His daughters were on stage dancing.
Kim,
and all that.
Lil Kim was with him. His daughters was on the stage dancing with him, and they had some say about what was going on with his award. Him receiving an award and the performance they put on. It's amazing, man. It's amazing to see that, and you even got you talked about Making the Band. You had one of the biggest comedians do a parody about Making the Band with Dave Chappelle on the Chappelle Show. Did the Cambodian breast milk, like it was because Diddy was doing such outrageous things on that show and having these guys go get cake from across the boroughs and you know what I'm saying? Like he was doing such outrageous things, and he was just being an entertainer that he is.
Shutting down the studio.
I'm shutting down the studio. Every episode, I'm shutting down the studio. Ain't nobody making no music. And then he coming in dancing, you know what I'm saying? Coming at joint dancing, doing this Diddy bop. Like, he's an icon, man. Everybody knows who Diddy is. Everybody knows who P. Diddy is. If we going from P. Diddy to so many different names that he's had. It was like Puffy, Puff Daddy, Puff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's just an icon in his own way, man. It is well deserved that all of these people came on stage with him and honored him and getting this Global Icon Award. And he definitely deserved it, man. Definitely deserved it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially with it being the Go ahead.
No, I think you're about to say the same thing I'm about to say. Go ahead.
Nah, I don't know what you're about to say.
I said definitely with him being only the third person to receive it.
Well, that being only the third person to receive it, with it being the 50th year of rap,
Oh
It's
yeah,
fitting for
true.
the MTV and the VMAs to give this type of person. You could kind of, I mean, Diddy has had more. How do I want to say this? Diddy has had more of an influence on the amount of individuals in hip hop. I was going to say you can kind of toss it up between him and Jay-Z with the amount of time that they've put into the music industry. Jay-Z has now become, I believe, more wealthy than Diddy. But as far as being a leader and whether the individuals that he brought on feel like they did right or wrong by him or done right or wrong by him, he's brought on multiple acts that gave us classics. Like you said, Bad Boy, he founded and still runs that with under the umbrella of his Combs Entertainment, I believe, or Enterprises that he has is the parent company of all these ventures that he has going on. So it's definitely well deserved. He's been outside a lot lately too.
He has.
He's giving publishing back to the Bad Boy artists that are the publishing and royalties. Some is controversy with that because a lot of people are saying because of the streaming now, it's really not worth anything. But needless to say, he has given them their royalties and their publishing back. He's also made good on promises that he's for donations that he's made in the past. He's made good on that this year. He's released a new album. I think it came out yesterday called the Love Album.
It did.
And
Off the
then,
grid, the Love album. Yep.
he's just been making a lot of waves lately. So, again, well deserved. It doesn't come without controversy. All the good that he's done is some negative rumors that have come out. But for the most part, of a greater part of 30 years, Diddy has been a part of the hip hop and entertainment industry. And, he's made a lot of push for the culture in America. And, again, under the same sentiments as you did, all of this is for me is well deserved. You can't really be right in this because like I said, some people are going to say he don't deserve it, but I feel like he deserves it for everything he's done for hip hop.
Whoever says he don't deserve it is crazy, and I'm gonna give a shout out to the culture for him for being the first rapper, but also the first black man to win this award. It's only been 3 of them. The first 2 was Foo Fighters, which is a rock band, and Red Hot Chili Peppers, who's also a rock band. So with it being like D-Lo said, with it being the 50th year of hip hop, to have a hip hop artist, hip hop producer, global to win a global icon award is huge, man. It's huge for the culture. It's huge for the industry, and it's huge for the community. So big ups to Diddy, man, for getting the global icon award. It's definitely well deserved. Anybody who says he didn't deserve it, kick rocks for sure. Kick rocks.
Yeah, Stick. So the last topic of the day, well, different from any of the other 5 topics that we talked about today. Should we be worried about? I know you just mentioned earlier that you just got a job and got a new job and you're excited about that. I've been happy in my industry for quite some time, but should we be concerned about us not having a job? Apparently, employers feel like there needs to be an increase in unemployment. As Australian millionaire Tim Gurner says that there should be 50%, at least a 50% increase in the amount of unemployment that is right now, because the economy needs to feel pain and understand that it's a privilege to work for employers and not the other way around. Sticks, what's your thoughts on this whole thing?
Man, so again, like I said in the intro, unemployment sucks, dog. Unemployment sucks. From coming from having a job for the past 14 years and not having to worry about anything and being straight, for that decade and a half almost, to going through the situation I went through for the while that I did, for the time frame that I did. It sucks. It does. It sucks. And I don't know if it made me, because I was never somebody who took for granted the fact that I had a job, or the fact that I didn't disrespect my employers, or I didn't go into my job not putting my best foot forward or being lackadaisical or slacking off in my job. I never did that.
Yep.
But I know that there are some people who do, and that's not beyond the realm of possibility. So and I'm also not an employer as of yet. Too complex coming. Don't worry about it. But I'm not an employer as of yet, so I don't. But I have been a manager, and I have had to manage people who didn't have that same work ethic as I did, or didn't really have that same best foot forward personality as I would hope they would have under my tutelage. So it's like I can understand what he's saying, but as far as him saying that the economy needs to hurt and people need to see that it's a privilege and people need to feel some kind of pain behind unemployment is a 40 to 50% increase in unemployment will kill the economy. Like, it won't just hurt it, it'll probably kill it. If you fire half the people who's working, it will kill the economy. Productivity will go down even more than it is right now. If you're thinking that the people who are working for you are unproductive now, you're not going to get as much productivity with half of the employees that you have in your company. And I know he's talking about Australia, but on a global scale, if the U.S. was to do this, we're already in debt over $1 trillion. We will go in debt even more. Like, that's going to hurt. And he did come out and to his, just to give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt, he did come out and say that he was deeply insensitive and he apologized for the comments. But when he was doing this interview, he was dead ass serious. Like,
you saw it. You saw the conviction in his slaps on his knees and all that.
What? He was rubbing his hands together and pounding his fists and slapping on his, like, he was convicted in this. Like,
yeah.
And this is an interview with the Australian Financial Review that he was doing this with. And it wasn't just any just random interview. Yeah. It was a summit that he was at. Like, he was convicted in this. Like, we need the unemployment rate needs to go up at 40 to 50% at least to show people that there's a privilege. They need to feel pain behind. No, that's crazy. That's crazy. What you think, D-Lo? How you feel about it, bro?
So let me read exactly what he said. So he said, we need to see pain in the economy. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40 to 50% in my view. I think the problem we have is that people decided that they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID. And that has made a massive issue on productivity. People have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. I'm going to say kudos to him for being brave enough to say that, because 100% that there are employers that feel that way. We saw at the tail end of COVID, or right in the middle of COVID, or can we say COVID? We can say COVID, whatever.
We can say COVID.
And it's not, we're not spreading any false information. We're not even talking about the virus itself. But we saw during COVID that people were not going to work, but then in turn, it was called the Great Resignation is what it was called. But then in turn, you saw massive waves, especially in the tech industry, you saw massive waves of individuals that were taking new jobs, making almost double what they were making at their other job, doing the exact same thing because companies needed employees to fill those positions. Now, on the flip side of that, earlier this year, you saw mass layoffs the tech industries and in a lot of industries because of all of that was going on. And I predict we'll probably will see some more of that happen later on this year, early next year. But again, kudos to him for saying all that. Was he right to say that? Hell no. Because just like you mentioned, Sticks, that would decimate economies all over the globe if that was actually to happen, because we're already teetering on if we're in a recession or if we're not in a recession.
100%.
And the war that's going on, and us in America sending so much money to Ukraine and so on and so forth. So to have people not working, crime will go up. Homelessness will go up. I mean, crime is already up as it is, but it will go up even more. Homelessness will go up. You'll have a lot of nonsense going on. And then you'll, in turn, with inflation rates the way they are and how the government or the Federal Reserve is trying to tighten and raise the rates of the rates of the country, it's going to cause a lot of chaos. And I don't think that needs to happen. And so if any employer, employers feel this way, but if they are even thinking about really doing this, we're going to see a lot. And as he mentioned, you're going to see a lot of pain in economies all over the globe.
For sure, man. And he was more so coming at the employees too, saying that they feel this that employees are extremely lucky to have them. And just to piggyback, just to get another quote from what he said. He said, "There's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them as opposed to the other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy."
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Now he like you said, he was very brave enough to come out and say that productivity has been down. Understandable, cool, but to say that the way that you change it is to raise unemployment, nah. That's gonna kill so many different economies. He was not right for saying that. Yes, it was insensitive. Yeah. Yes, he apologized for it, but your conviction in this, you were convicted, right, dog, and right. It makes absolutely no sense.
He decided to be the mouthpiece of employers, and so with that, you should automatically know that when you say stuff like this and it goes viral, you should expect and understand that there's going to be backlash that comes with that. That being said, though, he is a real estate. He made his money from real estate.
Yeah,
right. He's a real estate mogul, and I've been feeling this way for quite some time. And I know when COVID first hit, all employers were saying, "Oh, productivity has been as high as it has ever been," because people were concerned about losing their jobs. They were concerned that if they didn't show that they were working as hard as they could while they were home, then they would get that tap on the shoulder, say, "We don't need you." Luckily, that did not happen. But productivity was high, and you saw countless companies in the news saying exactly those sentiments. Now, fast forward to now, you have the exact opposite. Because we were in COVID and we had those lockdowns and we were working from home, and individuals were working in reality probably longer than they typically would if they were going into the office, you did have that high productivity. But now you have, I am assuming, I don't know 100%, you have the same type of work being done, the same type of, in my mind, productivity, if not the same, maybe slightly less, because people have figured out how to be efficient at home, do what they need to do for work, but also then go and do whatever else that they need to do.
Have a work-life balance, yeah.
Yeah, they have that work-life balance that everybody wants. So I still think productivity is about the same, but if it's not, it's maybe just slightly less. But you have all of these companies now saying productivity is as worse as it's ever been. And I feel like it's because, to get right to it and stop talking so much, but I feel like the reason this is because all of these companies that have an interest in the real estate know that if companies continue to go remote, then they won't need all of the commercial real estate that they have. Which means that now that is going to be money that they will be missing out on. So they're going to push employers to get their employees back into the office. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know if that's really the case or not. That's a speculation. But just looking at, listening to different CEOs or in chairs of banks, and then now looking at this comment, I'm like, okay, it's all starting to make sense to me about what's really going on and why the push to get everybody back into the office is happening at this point in time.
Yeah, and just to touch on the product,
scare them to get them back,
to scare them, get them back in the office, and
get them back on to kiss the ring.
Yeah, because you can scare people with unemployment, and of course it is a scary thing. I've been through it. it. It's a scary thing. You don't, you try to figure out exactly how you're going to get back on top of that mountain. But at the same time, it's like, just to touch on the productivity thing, whenever COVID happened and I was in the car industry, I was selling cars. and we were working from home, which is hard to do whenever you're in the car industry, because you can only go into the office if you had an appointment. So you were at home on your laptop doing the same thing that you were doing in the office, making phone calls and things that and the other. But if you had an appointment, you would go to the office, and we had a system in place where we would sell that car without, with the non-contact laws that we had during the virus. But even with the high productivity that we had during the pandemic, there were still furloughs that happened. People were still laid off. People were still given severance packages, because even with the high productivity, there were still companies, and my company was one of those, that said, hey, we don't need all these folk, because people can't go nowhere. People can't drive anyway. There's a lockdown happening. The pandemic is keeping everybody in the house. So you having 8 salespeople, you can actually go down to 3. And 5 of those people would get laid off. Luckily, I wasn't one of those people that got furloughed, because I had high productivity and I had high sales. But at the same time, the people that did, yes, the company gave them a severance package, but they lost their jobs, bro. And after the pandemic, they had to figure out exactly how they were going to survive. And I don't know if those severance packages were enough to keep them afloat for that year that we were in lockdown. But at the same time, it's like, at that time, the economy went down too. And not only was productivity high because of the pandemic, because we had those employees, but once those employees were laid off, those 3 people that they kept, I was one of them, had to take on that workload from some of those 5 people that were furloughed. So productivity at that time ended up going down, because the 3 people can't handle 6 people's work. So for you to say that we need to fire to lay off 50% of employees across the country is crazy. Because if you think of productivity as a problem now, it's really going to be a problem if you lay off half of your company.
Well, yeah, I mean, but so he wasn't saying fire 40 to 50%. He was saying that unemployment at its current rate needs to increase by 50%. So
gotcha.
Whatever that, if it's 3%,
so if it's 3% right now, it should go to 4.5%.
Yeah, 4.5%.
And that's on me. I kind of read into that wrong, but at the same time, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but I mean, even that though, to use employment as a way to quote unquote humble individuals, you're talking about taking away somebody's livelihood, which in turn could potentially take away their home if they're living paycheck to paycheck, take away their car, the way they are able to feed themselves and their family. You're talking about using that as a way to humble individuals. That's very demonic, in my opinion. And I feel like, that's why a lot of people, the mass public, don't like employers. They don't like wealthy individuals, because they use what they have a lot of as a way to either keep people down or to scare them into doing things that they want them to do. So, I mean, I just feel like, yes, he was brave enough to say it. A lot of employers are feeling that way, but it didn't need to be said. A lot of us are already feeling like there's something that's going to happen that we have no control of, and we'll be, shit out of luck. So to continue to scare us in this way is just, like I mentioned, it's just demonic, and it doesn't need to happen.
Doesn't need to happen at all. And I just looked it up. The unemployment rate right now in the U.S. is 4%. So if we went up 50 more percent of that, it would be a 6% rate. 6% rate. So, and that would probably raise the unemployment rate by about 500,000 people. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like 500,000 people losing their jobs is outrageous.
Right.
And I think if that happened, productivity will be worse, because you're going to ask
people, know what to do.
You won't know what to do, and then your employers are going to be taking on, like what happened to me. Your employers are going to be taking on the work from the people that you laid off. So now they're overworked and possibly underpaid. So are you going to be giving them more money for the people that you laid off to take on a heavier workload? No.
Nope.
So it didn't make any. I kind of understand why he said it, and he had the balls to say it. But if this actually happened, the economy will go under, bro. It would be worse.
Yep.
It would be worse for sure.
All right, Sticks, episode 37 in the books. A wrap.
37 in the books, don't he?
37. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening and tuning in to Too Complex. Remember, life is short and oftentimes complex. But when it becomes too complex, don't be afraid to lean on those that you love to help you find simplicity and balance in life. Stay prayed up in this crazy world. A few requests thrown above whoever you believe in can return you peace and sanity. We want to thank you all for tuning in to us today and supporting the podcast. It means a lot to us. We're sending our love and support right back to you. Don't forget to subscribe on whatever podcast platform that you listen to, and follow us on all of your social media platforms, whether that's YouTube, we're on Threads now, Instagram, and TikTok. And until next time, we'll catch y'all later. Salute.
Salute.